One of my favorite games of 2019 so far, and a game that really surprised me, has to be Devil May Cry 5. I was never a huge Devil May Cry fan, I always thought they were pretty interesting, but Devil May Cry 5 was absolutely fantastic. It was fun, it was fast, it was fluid, it was frantic. It hit all the right marks for me when it comes to an action-adventure game. So I've been curious to visit the backlog of Devil May Cry games. I actually played and beat the original Devil May Cry way back in the day, but honestly, I don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it. Of course, the Devil May Cry HD trilogy came out on the PS4 and the Xbox One and Steam, but did not come to the Nintendo Switch. Well, Capcom being Capcom has decided to bring the original Devil May Cry HD to the Nintendo Switch now. This game is actually out in the Australian eShop, and I was really looking forward to playing this and reviewing this game for you guys, because it's a game that I don't really remember, but having enjoyed Devil May Cry 5 so much, I thought this would be a perfect way for me to get back into the series and back into the franchise. And while there are a few gripes about the game, I'm pleasantly surprised with how the final game is. So what is Devil May Cry HD all about? And is this a game you should add to your Nintendo Switch collection? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, because currently I'm bleeding on this side of my face from shaving, the things I go for to please you guys. And as always, let's jump into the video.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my god, it's Stevie Richards! So while Devil May Cry 5 has the benefit of a series of games behind it in order to have a backstory and a lineage to it, the original Devil May Cry, not really so much. You gotta remember, this was a PS2 game released in 2001, and at that time you had games like Devil May Cry, Onimusha, and of course the Resident Evil series coming from Capcom. And it seems like Capcom sort of focused their storytelling on the Resident Evil series. When you look at a game like Onimusha, which also released on the Nintendo Switch, and was another really solid game, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of story in that game, and the original Devil May Cry kind of is like that, I feel. Basically, you are Dante, who is the main character in the Devil May Cry series, and he's basically working at the Devil May Cry store. A lady named Trish comes in and says that Mundus, bad guy, is trying to bring back the underworld, and you have to stop him. So she brings you to this castle in order to stop him. Now, are there ulterior motives here with Trish? Maybe, but the storytelling really isn't the main focus of this game, in my opinion. It's more of the gameplay, and the way this game starts is actually pretty interesting, because you could definitely feel the Resident Evil vibes to this game. This game originally was supposed to be a Resident Evil 4 sort of prototype, but Capcom decided to make it its own spin-off game because they felt that the areas and the environments and the general feel of the game didn't really feel like a Resident Evil game. That's how we got Devil May Cry. Now, Devil May Cry was spearheaded by Hideki Kamiya. Now, that name may sound familiar from you because he is obviously the guy behind Bayonetta, and Bayonetta is a tried and true action-adventure game, a lot of hack and slash action, and a game that a lot of Nintendo fans really love nowadays. Of course, we're looking forward to Bayonetta 3, but it's interesting to see how Kamiya got his start sort of with the Devil May Cry series as being the producer of this game, and it definitely feels a lot like a Kamiya game. The gameplay in the game is admittedly pretty fun. I had a lot of fun playing this game. Of course, playing as Dante, you have a variety of different melee weapons and of course guns. You can acquire different guns as you play throughout the game, starting out with your pistols and then getting things like shotguns, a grenade launcher, and even some guns that you have to use in some underwater sections, which were kind of weird admittedly, but luckily they're not very long sections of the game. And of course, the melee weapons. You have different blades, you have flame fists that you get as you play through the game, a whole bunch of different stuff. And of course, you can upgrade all of these melee weapons via an in-game currency, basically by defeating enemies, and just by searching different areas you get red orbs, and these red orbs can then be used to power up your weapons. You can get more moves out of the weapons and things of that nature. You can also buy different items that you use within the game. Things like blue orbs will extend your life meter, or you can actually extend your devil trigger, and this is the game that introduced the devil trigger. By taking out different enemies with various weapons in the game, you can then trigger your devil trigger attack, which makes Dante pretty much just go into overdrive mode. All of your attacks are stronger, you have more attacks at your helm as well, and you can regenerate some life in this mode as well. So it's a good mode to have, and you can actually use red orbs to not only extend the life of the devil trigger meter, but actually make the whole thing longer so that you get more time with your devil trigger. So acquiring red orbs in the game is essential. Now, of course, you get red orbs by defeating enemies, but you can also do it by exploring different areas. You can manage to find caches of red orbs and actually beef up Dante to quite a reasonable level pretty early in the game if you explore enough, and I really like that about the game. I thought it was pretty cool. As far as the actual combat is concerned, I think it's great. You could chain together various attacks with your melee weapons and of course your guns that you have in the game. You also can use your special attacks, and it really just flows very nicely. You never really feel bored with the combat because you're always sort of getting new things. The game introduces new enemies to you as well as the game progresses. Even as late as mission 17 in the game, you're getting new enemies that you haven't seen before. There's also big boss battles that have big hulking creatures coming after you. It's just very well done. There's a lot of action, there's a lot lot of fast-paced stuff, and there's not a whole lot of downtime within the game, and I really like that about the game. As far as complaints are concerned with the gameplay, I do have some. The fixated camera is something I enjoy because I love old school survival horror games, and I like games like Onimusha as well, but it definitely sort of throws you off at points in the game. There will be times when you're battling an enemy and the fixated camera will then fixate and go to a different angle, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Now I'm lost. Now I don't know what's going on. It's taking me out of my vibe. It does happen from time to time, and it's definitely noticeable during the platforming in the game as well. There's not a whole hell of a lot of platforming, but when there is platforming and you're trying to use these fixated cameras, it can be pretty tricky, admittedly. The game also offers some various puzzles in the game, but they're all pretty easy puzzles. Basically, acquire a key to open a locked door, find this item, put it in this slot here. It's definitely not something that is a puzzle-centric game. I would say the puzzles in Resident Evil are way more cryptic than this game, but it is something worth noting that there are some few puzzles here and there that will sort of deviate you from the action. Aside from the fixated cameras, the main game isn't really all that long either. I picked it up early this afternoon, and I finished it before dinner time. It'll take you about 5 to 6 hours depending on if you get stuck in an area or maybe stuck on a certain boss or in a certain fight, but really as long as you're powering up Dante, you really shouldn't have too much trouble in the game. There are additional things in the game as well though. There's some achievements that you can unlock by playing through the game, by beating the game on various difficulty modes. You unlock different difficulty modes after completing the game, and there's also secret missions. The secret missions are scattered throughout the levels, and it's kind of fun stumbling across these. They range from things like doing platforming to get to a certain the secret missions are littered all throughout the level. Sometimes just by going into a door that you just went into, you'll unlock a secret mission. And they range from doing things like defeating a certain amount of enemies, or taking out a various boss from a previous point of the game, or even just doing some platforming, getting to the top of an area. It definitely elongates the life cycle of the game, and it's definitely worth replaying the game through again to check out these secret missions if you're enjoying the gameplay style in the game. As far as the presentation is concerned, I would say it's mostly positive. I think the HD graphics look pretty good. It definitely still looks like a PS2 game, but I think PS2 games done in HD have a certain charm about them. When I played something like Onimusha, I was like, wow, this just looks so nice and clean and simple. And I think that's a good word for this game, simple. The characters look simple and clean. The bosses, they look actually pretty cool from time to time, depending on which boss you're fighting. And the environments are a mixed bag, really. There's some high-res textures, some low-res textures, but there is some nice use of color here and there. The most important thing is the frame rate, though. The frame rate is rock solid throughout playing the game, so you won't have any hiccups or anything like that. I will say the CGI cutscenes are very low resolution though. It's clear that these were ripped straight from the PS2, and they didn't do anything to sort of improve these, and they definitely sort of stand out as just looking very negative and gaudy. Thankfully, there's not a whole lot of CGI cutscenes in this game, but whenever one pops up, you're kind of like, ugh, that doesn't look all that great. As far as the music is concerned, it's very upbeat. You know, when you're in battle, it sounds kind of like the WCW Nitro Girls are going to come out and dance. There's an obscure reference for you guys. I don't know, the music just goes kind of weird in the battles. It has that, you know, sort of Matrix guitar rock soundtrack to it. It's okay for the time era though. But there are some voiceovers in the game as well, and honestly they're pretty decent. They sound clean enough and you can sort of understand what's going on. As far as the Nintendo Switch version is concerned of this game, there is no added stuff in this game. So you're paying $20 for Devil May Cry HD, which honestly, it's sort of a mixed feeling in my opinion, because obviously Onimusha HD just came out and that was $20 across the board on all platforms. Nobody really had any problems with that. Then we had the Resident Evil games come to the Nintendo Switch, and those were $30 a piece, and everyone was like, no, that's a little bit too much for these games. Now, Devil May Cry HD is $20, but you can actually get the Devil May Cry HD collection, which consists of Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3 on the PS4 and the Xbox One for $30. So for $10 more, you're getting 2 additional games, and you can actually pick that game up physically, whereas the Nintendo Switch version of the game is a download only. So is it worth the extra, essentially $10 to play this game portably? I think the game does look very nice portably, and since the game is a lot of fun and, you know, is considered one of the best action adventure games of all time, I honestly did not have a personal problem paying $20 for this game. I think it's definitely worth $20. However, looking at the competition with the PS4 and the Xbox One, it is kind of a salty feeling of having to pay a bit more for this game, and you're only getting one of the games out of the 3. I think if they would have done like Devil May Cry 1 and 3, because 2 is kind of considered to be a weak entry, for $30 or something like that on the Nintendo Switch, I think people would have been more accepting of it. The price is definitely something worth talking about for me personally. personally, I didn't mind paying the $20, but I could definitely see why people would have a problem paying the $20. All in all though, I really enjoyed Devil May Cry. It was great to revisit this game again. Some things I remembered from it, some things I didn't, and it's very interesting to see both the root of the series and of course Kamiya doing a Devil May Cry game. The action is very fun, it's a good looking game, and it has some decent replay value as well if you enjoy the core gameplay mechanics. So I'm pleased with spending $20 on Devil May Cry HD for the Nintendo Switch. I think it's a good game, and I hope that they put subsequent entries of Devil May Cry on the Nintendo Switch. Now let's talk about Dante and Smash. I mean, you did say that you had to put Dante on a Nintendo Switch console before putting Dante and Smash, and now we have them, folks. Now we have them. But let me know in the comment section down below if you are looking forward to playing Devil May Cry on the Nintendo Switch. If you'll be picking up this HD game when it comes out, it'll be out on the 25th in North America. So depending on when you're watching this video, it may already be out, or if you want to get it early, you can get it on the Australian eShop. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.